Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. I decided to make a series of videos about data runners use to tell them all sorts of stuff. Maybe you use them, I use it all the time, but I use it to get metrics, and then what we do with metrics is another question for another day. But I'm going to make a series of videos, and in today's video I'm going to look at the Under Armour HOVR shoes, and also going to look at MapMyRun. So I decided to measure the route the old school way with a map, pen and a ruler. In this instance, I printed out the extract from the Ordnance Survey Ireland, which you can get on the website at their GeoHive site. And this is from the 25-inch map of 1888 to 1913, and it's in streets in around which I live. And then I measured the scale. The scale is on the bottom left-hand corner where you see I've indicated scale. And up on the top right-hand side is my calculation of the distance based on the map and the scale at 713 meters. Now, in simple terms, you measured the red line, which came to 321 millimeters. And then you figure out the length of the scale. The scale says 30 meters, which is 13.5 millimeters. And then you multiply one by the other to get 713 meters. That's how I did it. Now, the modern measurement is to use MapMyRun. And this is, again, I took the same data and the same area, and I got a distance of 0.71 kilometers, which you can see at the top right-hand side, which is 710 meters. Now, it doesn't really matter whether it's in meters or feet or whatever. This is just to give you an idea of how you might go about doing it. So in these two examples, you can get the distance, okay, at 713 or thereabouts meters. But what if you want to know how fast you're going? Then you need the rate of movement or pace. If you want to get your pace as well as distance, you need to measure time. So you need to have a time measuring device like this. Well, I didn't actually use this. This is an Nixie clock, which I happen to like. I actually used the timer on the GoPro, because although we sometimes have the watch and we have the phone, I actually took the time code off the GoPro because it was the exact thing I did. And in that instance, I could work out the pace. Now, I didn't actually go and work out the pace because I thought to myself, right, there are other ways of measuring the pace. And one of the ways is to have a data collecting device. In my instance, I first took out the Under Armour HOVR shoe. So I've got a black one, I got a gray one, and I got a brown one. And they all track. There's a little Bluetooth chip in the right-hand shoe, and you connect the chip to either your phone or your watch. You can connect the shoe in advance of your run and then go running with just a shoe without a watch or without a phone or without anything else. Off you go, just in your shoe. And as soon as you start running, and I tried this the other day because I'd never done it before actually, even though I've had the shoes for months, years, and there's lots of mileage on, as you've probably seen on the earlier slides. What I've done is I've gone and I've run around the block in the shoes. So the brown shoes, you know, had about 80 kilometers on them. The gray shoes had about 213, and the black shoes 353. This is of running, so they're kind of pretty much worn out. And you can see the sort of steps and data on these three screen grabs here. But what it does is it captures as soon as you start running, it automatically captures the data. So in this instance, I've got once I came back, I got 4 pieces of data. I've got the distance, I've got the duration. From that, they give you the pace, and they also work out the calories, which is probably a simple, easy calculation that you could do based on the distance and the pace. So you've got these 4 stats. And then you've got cadence, which is how many steps you take per minute. Your stride length, which is obviously, I guess, the length of the stride, and your ground contact time. So an elite runner has a very low ground contact time. Me, on the other hand, I land and I kind of stay landed for a long time and then pop off. Well, 263 milliseconds on average. And then I've got a foot strike angle, which we'll come on to in a minute. But you have to go on to get the data, and you can run without the phone and you can run without the watch, and just in the shoe, as I said. But when you come back, you log on to MapMyRun and it'll give you the data. And in this instance, it's giving us pace on a very jagged line. So it gives maximum pace and it'll give us average pace. Then it maps pace against cadence. So you can see one against the other. And then stride length against pace. And ground contact time against pace. And then the most interesting one for me is the foot strike angle. And I had done a series of videos trying to figure out what my foot strike angle was, and there's been some comments, and feel free to comment below. But according to this, in this shoe, at this pace, which was relatively modest, I'm a midsole contact runner. Now, it also gives you coaching. So if you ask it, what it means by foot strike angle. It'll tell you about the angles and what to strive for. And interestingly, it gives you here the target ranges, which are forefoot strike ranges -5 to -1, midfoot 0 to 8, and heel strike ranges 9 degrees to 27 degrees, and then gives you some coaching tips. So there's a whole load of useful advice just off the Under Armour shoe. But if you go out with the shoe and then you take your iPhone, what other data you get? Well, the first thing you get is you get a map. So you get a map of where you went, and when you come back, it'll map the data to the map. If you go out with just a shoe, it can't do that. And you get the ability to start, and well, obviously you get the ability to start, but you can have, there's the sign with the shoes are connected, and then I used a countdown timer in this instance, so you can delay the heading off time till when you're good and ready. And then you get the same data, but with the map, and it all drawn on the map, but the additional one you get is the elevation gain. In my instance, I'm not sure how relevant that was, but particularly this run is flat, as you'll see as we go through the data. But you get the same cadence, ground contact time, stride length. You get the same mapped. In this instance, you can map the pace against the elevation. In the last instances, you were just getting everything mapped against pace. But here you can go against elevation. You can see there isn't much elevation. And the lines, for some reason, are not as jagged as on the previous example. They're sort of rolling lines. So you can see there's not much elevation, 3 to 5 meters. And then there's cadence against pace. There's stride length against pace. And you can see that they sort of loosely correlate. Ground contact time against pace, which is something similar. And then there is, again, the foot strike angle. And you could spend your time analyzing this sort of stuff. Now, if you go out with the watch, so this is the shoes and the watch. Okay, so in this instance, you have to start the run from your activities, and you can see here there's a variety of ones you choose, and then you pick this little green start button, but you can see there's a GPS setting, there's a heart rate in the middle, and there's a foot connected monitor on the right, and there's some other settings. And this will tell me that it's this particular shoe that's connected, not my other Under Armour Phantom SEs. And then you get, when you're finished, and as you go along, you get data, but in this instance, it gives the distance, the duration, the pace. It gives you the heart rate, because that's the one you're getting from the watch, and it gives you the calories. So you've got a series of these things all visible. These are screen grabs from the Apple Watch. But it also, when you go and you open up MapMyRun on the phone, you'll also get the data in the same sort of fashion. You'll see here there's 6 pieces of data, because again, we've got elevation, but we've also got the heart rate added to the original 4 that you got from just the shoe. And we'll go through them, and they're pretty much the same. Again, a smooth curve, pace against elevation, but here you get heart rate, and mine seems to be pretty even on this particular run, and the elevation is pretty even, and the cadence, I mean, I wasn't really trying very hard, I was just running around to check the data. And the stride length, it seems to be dramatically varying for reasons I don't know. And the ground contact time is different against pace. And again, I have a roughly similar foot strike angle. Now, you could go out with the shoes, the iPhone, and the Apple Watch, but you won't gain anything more with all 3 of them than you would with the Apple Watch and the shoes. So if you have to leave something behind, you could leave the phone behind. But as we went through on my marathon experience, I think bringing the phone with you is good from a safety point of view. The shoe's really interesting in that it's the only place I have that will give me the strike angle, whether I'm forefoot, midfoot, or heel striker. But also, you might say to yourself, well, I don't really want to run on Under Armour shoes. There's a relatively limited number of them. I think there's about 6 different models. I don't know. I have these ones, and they come in lots of colors. They're about, well, I checked today, not about. They are $140 or 140 euro. And you can get deals on certain ones, and some come with the Bluetooth chip and some don't. So please check before you do. And then there's an updated version that I think is about $160, and they come in gazillion loads of colors. But if you don't want to run in Under Armour, what if you run in another shoe? What sort of data will you get with your iPhone and your Apple Watch? And this is a run I did at Christmas in Nashville in my Carbon X's, brand new out of the box. And I ran along the Cumberland River in this great big question mark shape. It was a run I really, really enjoyed. It was a half marathon that I did in just under an hour and 3/4. And so I suppose I was going a bit. But you get all the data here without the shoes, except you're not going to get the foot strike angle. So you get your heart rate from the phone, and you get all the other, or the heart rate is coming from the watch, and you get all the other data from the phone or the watch in combination. And here we've got very jagged. It's a very jagged, but here's the pace. Now it's a lot longer run, but here's the pace. And then here's the heart rate. It looks like I'm dead at the start of as if I had a giant cardiac arrest running down Broadway in Nashville. I suspect I hadn't got the watch tight enough. I don't know, but that's what I suspect. And then the heart rate's going up towards the end. There's also more training you can buy, Train Smarter with heart rate zones. So there's a lot of coaching you can buy with Under Armour, with MapMyRun, that'll allow you to do things on the watch and also on the phone, but I'd use that for another day. The other thing about the watch and the phone, while I think of it, is I will just start it here now. So let's see, here's the phone, and I'm just going to start myself a little run. I'm obviously not going to go anywhere. So start MapMyRun, start workout. Okay, so I'm going to skip the delay.
Begin workout.
So it's talking to me.
Workout paused.
Okay, so the workout is paused, and save it. Actually, I didn't mean to save it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The phone can talk to you. And I think the watch also does something similar. So let's see. I think the same person is living inside my watch. So let's see. You're all good. Workout synced. Run. Start.
Begin workout.
Sounds the same person to me. Okay, and then we'll try and stop it.
Workout paused.
Vaguely Irish accent, is it? Workout paused. And then you press the screen and...
Workout finished.
Okay, finished. I dislike this on the Apple Watch intensely, this pressing the screen business, because if your fingers are at all wet, it just basically doesn't work. For some reason, the cadence here isn't giving me the averages. I think it wants you to buy some cadence data, but it also has splits. So I didn't have splits on the runs around the house, but you can have the splits. And in this case, you know, if you're running a half marathon, you want to see the splits, particularly if you're looking to do negative splits, or you want to look at your heart rate as you went along, or actually the cadence is here. So those are stuff that you would probably analyze. Sometimes you look at the watch as you're doing it, or analyze it in post site. You can also get weather data if you upgrade it. And this is, if you go on to MapMyRun on the web, you will get an interface just like this. And so there's a lot more data. You can see here, it's broken down by the kilometers. I used the Nashville run. You get a detail, there's the Cumberland River. So it's a really lovely run, I have to say. And you're up on the levee for most of it, running around, and then you got to the end, turn back. And so then you can zoom in and you can get more information on any of the things, and you'll see tracking down below of various different things. The cadence is not highlighted on that one. Again, maybe you have to open up more stuff, and you can keep zooming in. I won't keep zooming in forever because otherwise you will be bored as hell. I gathered a lot of data on MapMyRun in the last couple of years, and previously I've used Runkeeper and I've used Strava and these various things. But I decided that I wanted to get more data of a particular kind, and I had read about this Stride FootPod, which I'm going to investigate in more detail next week. So hopefully you'll subscribe and get a notification as soon as that video comes out. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.